Today I am super excited to be testing out the Vanco Leisure 470 Pro. This is a smaller projector than the 470, and I'm super excited because the installation of it onto my ceiling went better than the first one. So I'm super excited to make a new shirt. Now I haven't actually patterned a new shirt for this. I'm taking out one of my old favorite patterns, and I'm just going to project it down onto the floor and get cutting out. So let's get started. We've already patterned it. Let's get started cutting it out and making this fun shirt. Woo! Now that our projector's on and Illustrator's up, we're actually going to make sure that our stroke is thick enough. I like to do the 1/4 inch to make sure that I can definitely see it projected down onto the screen. Next, I'm also going to put it to the size that I determined in this video here, so that I can actually make sure that I'm cutting out the correct size of garment. Next, I'm going to line up all my pieces onto the Illustrator board so that I can cut them out. I always like arranging them and testing out a few different arrangements before I settle on one to figure out what will be the best way to cut out each garment and with using the least amount of fabric. So I decided to have the sleeve and bottom part of my thing up top and my top of the bodice down below. Next, I'm going to lay out my fabric. Then once my fabric's laid out, I'm going to make sure that my pattern is nicely centered onto my fabric, and I'm going to start cutting it out. Again, with the projector, you have to make sure your shadow doesn't get in the way as you are cutting out the different pieces. Once all the pieces are cut out, I'm going to cut out the bind that's going to finish off the neckline edge. Next is time to sew this together. I am super excited. So I'm going to start by sewing my shoulder seams to my shoulder seams. That way I can finish my neckline first. And the other shoulder seam, there we go. Now I'm going to fold that long piece of binding I cut out last in half, and I am going to sew it around the neckline. And I'm going to start at one edge, and I'm going to stretch it just a little bit to help give it so it'll help pull it in around my neckline. Now I'm going to attach the top part to the bottom part. So in the front, I actually have those two pieces that I'm going to be attaching to the bottom. So I want to make sure those are lined up, and you want to make sure that if you are particular of which is crossing over top of the other, that you really pay attention to that, because taking out the serging is not fun. So I'm just going to make sure all three of those edges are lined up as I serge all the way across that seam. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing on the back, and it's only a 1-to-1, so I don't have a middle layer that I have to be paying super close attention to. Now it is time to set in the sleeve. So I'm going to line up the underarm with the underarm point of the sleeve, and I'm going to serge it on. And I always have a small little notch at the very top that helps me line up with where my shoulder seam should be going, and that will help me set on those sleeves nice and quickly. Then I'm going to do the other sleeve. Now it's time to actually do the side seams and underarm sleeves. So I'm going to line up the edge, and I'm going to sew up the underarm sleeves hem, making sure that the underarm seam lines up. Then I'm going to go down, but as I go down, you have to make sure that one of the underflap or the overflap, depending on which side overlaps for you, is not laying funky. You want to make sure it's nice and flat, because for a very short time you're not just lining up 2 pieces, but you are lining up 3. So make sure that you're lining those up and not having to redo that. Now I actually have a shirt, but we want to finish it, so I'm going to purl edge it. So I'm going to change over my machine. Oops, I dropped my needle. So there's actually a really great drawer down beneath there that you can, when the needle drops through, you can grab the needle real quick and easy. Make sure to retighten that screw, and if you want a step-by-step walkthrough on how to change your machine, definitely check out this video here. And then I'm just going to purl edge the bottom hem and both sleeves. Then, once both these sleeves are done, I can try it on and I will have a completed shirt. I love the look of this purl edge. I just think it is classy. And there it is, my shirt is done. I love this pattern. It's very simple, very easy, but I feel like it gives that very classic look that I love. I love the little flutter sleeves, and it's super easy if you wanted to change the flutter sleeves into something else, how quickly you'd be able to manipulate it in Adobe Illustrator. I love it. It makes me so excited. Definitely check out the pattern down below if you're interested in making this one. And if you want to see some of the other ones that I've digitally apparel patterned, definitely check out this playlist where you can see a whole bunch of different ways to digitally apparel pattern in Adobe Illustrator. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you can see other patterning videos, whether it's in Adobe Illustrator or on hand drafting, or when we're actually making the garments. That is also one of my favorite parts, because you get to take fun fabric that you find and create your own unique pieces of wearable art. So I hope to see you in some of my other videos. Happy patterning!